என்று தணியும் இந்த சுதந்திரதாகம் என்று மடியும் எங்கள் அடிமையின் மோகம் என்றே மதன்னை கை விலங்குகள் போகும் என்றே மதின்னல்கள் தீர்ந்து பொய்யாகும்.
When will the thirst for freedom be quenched? When shall the craze for servitude be ended? Asked Subramanya Bharati, the great revolutionary poet, writer and thinker of India. Bharati was born in 1882 in Ettayapuram in Tirunelveli district, a place well known for the great arts of poetry and music. Bharati's father, Chinnaswami Iyer, had great influence in the court of the Raja of Ettayapuram. And so, young Suppaya, as he was known then, was able to mingle with the scholars at the court. When he was just 11, he won the title of Bharati, a name of the goddess of learning, for his ability to compose poems on any subject at any moment. Bharati was married at the age of 14 to Chellammal, who was a source of inspiration to him all through his life. On the death of his father in 1898, Bharati moved over to Varanasi to continue his education. Varanasi inspired him to understand the oneness of India. He started sporting a turban and a moustache. Bharati returned to Ettayapuram at the invitation of the Maharaja to serve him as his companion. His job entailed being with the Maharaja, entertaining him by reading newspapers and discussing literature. Bharati could not tolerate the feudal customs of the court for long. And so, in August 1904, Bharati became a Tamil Pandit in the Setupati High School, Madurai. Bharati was convinced that children must be taught in their mother tongue, and his love for his mother tongue was ever supreme. G. Subramanya Iyer, editor of Swadesamitran, Tamil Daily, recognized the genius of Bharati and asked him to join Swadesamitran as sub-editor. This was a turning point in Bharati's life and career. Bharati was drawn into the freedom struggle. The partition of Bengal in 1905 shook the nation. The Swadeshi movement gave impetus to the country's struggle for freedom. Bharati attended the Indian National Congress session in Varanasi. On his way back, he met Sister Nivedita, the disciple of Swami Vivekananda at Calcutta. Nivedita inspired Bharati to work for the freedom and equality of women in our country. This feeling of equality is projected in his famous poetic epic, Panchali Sabadam, which he wrote in 1912. It was based on Vyasa's Mahabharata. In Bharati's poem, Draupadi, or Panchali, the Pandava queen, questions the right of the Pandavas to pawn her in a game of dice, when they had already lost themselves in the game.
Video Kanavare, Ammi Mirite Arundadiye Kaatiyane, Veda Sudatti mun vendi manam seide. Fadagar mun innal parisalizal kaanviro, parisalizal kaanviro, parisalizal kaanviro. வான் சபையில் கேள்வி பலவுடையோ கேடிலா நல்லிசையோ வேள்வி தவங்கள் மிக புரிந்த வேதியர் மேலோர் இருக்கின்றார். வெஞ்சினமேன் கொள்கிறரோ வேலோர் இணையுடைய வேந்தர் பிடிப்புண்டா. இங்கு இவர் மேல் குற்றம் இயம்ப வழி இல்லை. மங்கியதோ புன்மதியாய் மன்னர் சபைதனிலே என்னை பிடித்தெழுத்தே ஏற்றுக்கள் சொல்கின்றார். என்னை எவரும் நிறுத்தடா என்பதில்
Panchali of Bharati's epic is also a portrayal of Bharat Mata in bondage.
ஆடி.
மந்தாரியாய் மந்தார் மல்லார் திண்டோள் வீட்டுமனே, நாயகர் தாம் தம்மை தோற்ற பின் என்னை நல்கும் உரிமை அவருக்கில்லை. துணை தாயத்திலே விலைப்பட்ட பின் என்ன சாத்திரத்தால் என்னை தோற்றிட்டார்?
In 1906, S.N. Thirumalachari and Mandayam Srinivasachari of Madras started a new weekly called India. Bharati joined the weekly as its editor. India, a daring experiment in journalism, aroused the people of Tamil Nadu to participate in the freedom movement. In 1906, Dadabhai Nauroji gave the call for Swaraj at the Calcutta session of the Congress. Bharati wrote articles staunchly supporting the Swadeshi movement, boycott of foreign goods and Swaraj. V.O. Chidambaram Pillai, follower of Tilak in the south, floated the Swadeshi shipping company. Bharati found in Chidambaram Pillai a compatriot, and a lasting friendship blossomed. In the historic Congress session at Surat in December 1907, the ideological conflict between the extremists and the moderates surfaced. Bharati, a fiery man of action himself, aligned with the extremists led by Lokamanya Tilak. Bharati's poems of unusual poetic quality and patriotic fervor were compiled and published in the form of a book entitled Swadesha Geetangal. The British government was taking oppressive measures to crush the freedom movement. India Weekly was banned. On the advice of his friends, Bharati exiled himself to Pondicherry, then a French settlement, to continue to serve the cause of freedom from there. Bharati was exposed to a great variety of experiences. He became famous as a great revolutionary poet. Within a month, India resumed publication. India became a powerful weapon in Bharati's fight for political freedom. Other papers like Vijaya Daily, Suryodayam Weekly and Karma Yogi Monthly also carried Bharati's contributions. The entry of these papers into British India was banned, and by March 1910, all these papers folded up. Bharati was unable to publish his writings in Pondicherry. Life was becoming difficult, but Bharati kept his head high. At this time, Aurobindo Ghosh came to settle in Pondicherry in April 1910. Bharati was drawn to him at once, and Aurobindo provided a great influence on his spiritual growth. Bharati sent his articles, poems and stories to journals like Swadesamitran and Jnana Bhanu in Madras and Arya, the philosophic journal edited by Sri Aurobindo. Sri C. Vishwanatha Iyer, his brother, says that Bharati had the gift to write poetry at the slightest provocation. The French band, playing the French national song Laissez Marseille, induced him to write a Tamil poem on the same tune and meter. Most of Bharati's great creative works were written in the years 1910 to 1913. He also translated the Bhagavad Gita into Tamil. His Kannan Paattu is a sequence of lyrics born of an intense devotion. He saw Krishna as a lover, a friend, wife, child, mother, servant, and savior.
Gamapa, Gamapada Magari Tari Gamapa.
He loved to be in an environment of natural beauty.
Ganida Gadapa Magari Nirigari Sanida Sa Pachai Maramellam Palapalana.
The solitude of the mango groves away from the town of Pondicherry offered solace and poetic inspiration to the poet. It was here Bharati conceived and wrote his famous poem Kuyil Patte, the song of the cuckoo.
ஈண்டும் பறவையெல்லாம் வேறெங்கோ போயிருப்ப வெம்மை கொடுங்காதல் மீறதனைத்தான் புரிந்த விந்தைச் சிறுகுயிலை காண.
Bharati perceived God in everyone. He never accepted complexes of inferiority in men. To him, all were equal, with no difference in caste. Bharati, the reformer, picked on Kanakalingam from a backward community and made him wear the holy thread, thus emphasizing the equality of all men. And to this day, the children around the temple of Muttumari, where Kanakalingam lived, recite Bharati's compositions with love and devotion. After writing from Pondicherry for 10 years, in November 1918, Bharati went to Kadayam, a beautiful village in Tirunelveli district. The blue mountains, the vast skies, the firmament, the birds, all together produced in him poetic emotions. Bharati learnt a new way of life. A life of freedom. A life full of philosophical experiences.
நின்னை தீண்டும் இன்பம் தோன்றுதடா நந்தலாலா தீக்குள் விரலை வைத்தால் நந்தலாலா நின்னை தீண்டும் இன்பம் தோன்றுதடா நந்தலாலா.
In March 1919, a chance meeting with Mahatma Gandhi took place in Madras, when Gandhiji had come to consult local Congress leaders on the question of launching a movement against the Rowlatt Act. Though a follower of Tilak, Bharati saw in Gandhiji the new leader of the nation. Bharati had supported Gandhiji's efforts when, as early as in 1909, he had published a cartoon in his India showing Gandhiji as a cow in the midst of South African officials in the garb of tigers. Bharati was convinced that only Gandhiji could lead the Indian people in their freedom struggle. and that his doctrine of non-violence would certainly bring forth the desired results. At this meeting with the Mahatma, Bharati wished him a long and fruitful life. Though Kadayam was well suited to Bharati's poetic yearnings, the social backwardness of the village did not appeal to him. In 1920, he left the village for Madras to rejoin Swadesamitran as sub-editor. He was deeply involved in journalism. However, in day-to-day life, Bharati was devotional in thought. He visited the famous Parthasarathi temple in Triplicane every day, praying for spiritual enlightenment. He was in the habit of feeding fruits to the temple elephant. On a fateful day, the elephant, in a spell of rut, pushed Bharati to the ground. Bharati was shocked by this experience. Soon after, he took ill, from which he never recovered. On the night of September the 11th, 1921, India lost one of her most illustrious sons. Subramanya Bharati was barely 39. Bharati lives on through his songs, essays, and writings. His message of oneness of India, the oneness of its people, and the oneness of all religions shall continue to inspire the people of India.
விதி செய்வோம் இனி ஒரு விதி செய்வோம் இனி ஒரு விதி செய்வோம்